Do you advocate for women leadership?
Of course I do, but I don't give roles to women
Just
because they're a woman. We're now 4, but now we're all women.
Do you do that on purpose?
No,
or
I didn't.
is it? Or
I don't think I did. But I think you can advocate for equality in so many ways.
100%.
But I don't think that the right way for advocating it is to have somebody who isn't performing well in their job. I don't think about my gender. I just think I'm somebody that's running a business and I feel empowered when I realize that I can do things that I didn't previously think that I could do. You know, being a female founder, but not being the fluffy. I think sometimes people think, they see us as a woman and they think, okay, you know, they expect us to be a certain way. And I don't necessarily want to be that expectation, right? When you're running a business, you're not thinking about if you have to conform to what people expect you to be of your gender. You're thinking about, I need to make tough decisions. I need to do whatever I need to do to make this business successful.
You're here to run a business, to grow a business. You're not here to be liked. Hi, I'm Maira Genovese. I'm the founder and CEO of Ep3 Power, global integrated market agency, and this is our Beyond Marketing podcast. Network and collaboration are crucial to thrive in the modern share economy, and she spotted that gap back in 2014. She envisioned the next steps when it comes to co-working space, founding Huckletree, a chain with the purpose of spurring collaboration among its members. She's also a true advocate for diversity and womanhood in entrepreneurship. Welcome to Beyond Marketing Podcast, Gabriela Hersham.
Hello, how are you?
I'm very good. I'm so excited to have you here with me today. I've been looking forward to meet with you in person and have this conversation.
Good to meet you.
Thank you so much for taking the time. Gabriela, before we actually get into, more about Huckletree and our journey to entrepreneurship, I would love you to make a little intro to our audience about you and to get the conversation flowing.
Okay, cool. So my name is Gabby. So I am the founder of a company called Huckletree, which is a workspace company. I set it up 10 years ago, which feels like a lifetime ago, and we now have locations across London, Manchester, and Dublin. So I think we're launching our 9th location next week and our 10th early in the new year, which is really exciting. It's a big milestone moment for us. And our premise is all about bringing flexibility to workspace. So enabling businesses not to go and sign long-term leases that they have to invest lots of money in upfront, but actually giving them wonderful spaces, really engaging spaces that bring their teams back to work, but with flexibility. And we're very much for the innovation sector. So all of our businesses are innovation businesses. You know, I use that term quite broadly because I think it's not for me to decide which businesses are innovative or not, but you know one when you see one.
Yes.
And it's exciting. So we've created a really exciting ecosystem of businesses across our footprint. And I think over the next few years, just looking forward to keeping on growing, continuing to grow the business and add new locations and meet new entrepreneurs in our spaces. I think for me, that's always the fun part, is the meeting of people. So
we're going to talk a lot about networking because networking and meeting people is the key for any business, founders and co-founders, right? And then I've noticed, I've been following you for a while, that you're very much on that, networking and co-collaboration and co-creation. Tell me more about how you envision Huckletree, where this idea came from. You always knew it. We wanted to create, a workspace, or what the inspiration came from?
No, it definitely wasn't something that I was yearning to do when I was at school. It wasn't like that. I came across the concept when I was living in New York.
Okay.
In my early 20s. And cut a long story short, after 5 years studying and working in New York, I find myself working out of one of the very early, co-working buildings. It was so early on, there wasn't even a name for it. We didn't know the term co-working. We didn't know the term flexible office space. But I found myself there and I met incredible people. And I loved that there were these buildings where all of these smaller businesses were getting together and meeting each other. And I moved back to London. My family are in real estate. So both my mother and my father particularly on my father's side, real estate entrepreneur, has been in the game for many, many years, 40 years, I would say. And I felt that would help me. And I was right, and he's been incredible. And I kind of raised a bit of money. It took me quite a long time. It was quite challenging, but I knew that I wanted to do it. And I felt like London needed more of these spaces. So there were already a few, but I felt that this whole kind of entrepreneurial innovation sector was about to really kick off and explode in London, and that I wanted to create a workspace that would house these businesses and these minds. So we launched our first space in Clerkenwell, just around the corner from here, 10 years ago in 2014. And it was tiny. Like, it was 2,000 square feet. There was one shared meeting room. There were 40 desks, all open plan. The building wasn't great. It was a walk up. There were like 2 bathrooms, little tiny kitchens, and nothing else. But it worked. That was what the market accepted at that point in time. And anyway, fast forward 10 years, that product would never work in today's market because people expect so much from their office. It needs to be the most incredible experience. It needs to feel like hospitality. So now we're doing spaces that are 30, 40, 50,000 square feet, and they're beautiful. They're, the design, really passionate about the design. So we do really funky design. We put great amenities in. The businesses can be up to 100 people. So it's changed a lot.
And because when you said that when you launched the first one in 2014, so the concept of being creative, innovative, and have this hospitality element that you said you didn't have when you started. So that came after, or you always had that vision of creating a space that will be very creative and very inspirational for this business that we're coming in?
Well, it was creative and inspirational at the time. So I think at the time, people still were like, wow, this is amazing.
Okay.
It's just, in any industry, when you look back 10 years ago, the things that you put out, a decade earlier. It's changed a lot, and the market demands are so different. But it was very innovative at the time. And I think from the beginning, the thing that I was very adamant on was that I really felt that it should only be a place for innovative businesses and entrepreneurs. So if businesses came and they kind of were outside of that, I was turning business away from the first day, which is really scary when you've got bills to pay and you've got rent to pay. But I think I needed to create that community, and to do that, I had to be very focused on who I wanted inside.
And how do you choose who do you want it inside? So how is the process of today is more organically, or are you still very much involved based on your networking, your co-collaboration? No. How does it work?
I mean, look, I do meet a lot of businesses that I try to send towards Huckletree, but that's it kind of does its thing without me, and it's easy. I think now, first of all, our brand name over the past 10 years has become there's more awareness, so businesses come to us where they already fit the type of businesses that are in Huckletree. If you are a much more corporate business, that you're probably just not going to come to us. Our spaces are loud, there's music, there's lots of people, there's excitement, there's events going on. Like, it's probably not going to be your thing anyway. And then sometimes we do have businesses that, the team kind of gets together and questions whether these are the right businesses for Huckletree. And, we come up with the decision that feels like the right decision. There's no science,
100%.
So,
and tell me about your female leadership, right? Because I'm a founder as well, and then CEO, and then what I love about you, that I've been following you for a while, as I said, it's such a great inspiration for I think for females entrepreneurs out there. So how do you see yourself, as you're saying, creating your business in 2024, growing your business to where you are today with so many, like you're saying, about London, Dublin, and Manchester, and then innovating as the years pass through? How do you find yourself as that position and as a female leader, and how do you deal with that on the day-to-day with your team, and how do you use your voice to inspire other female leaders?
I don't really think about it on a day-to-day basis. I don't think about my gender. I just think I'm somebody that's running a business, and there are daily kind of decisions and struggles and ups and downs that there would be for anyone. But I guess I have been on quite a journey on that over the past sort of 10 years. And I've learned to kind of step into areas that maybe I wasn't super confident in before, when I have the opportunity to step in and engage and learn more, I love to do that because I feel empowered when I realize that I can do things that I didn't previously think that I could do. And I also quite like the concept of, being a female founder, but not being the fluffy...
The drive of the business.
No,
yes.
but I think sometimes people think, they see us as a woman and they think, okay, they expect us to be a certain way. And I don't necessarily want to be that expectation, right?
100%.
Like when you're running a business, you're not thinking about if you have to conform to what people expect you to be of your gender. You're thinking about, I need to make tough decisions. I need to do whatever I need to do to make this business successful. So yeah.
I like what you said, and I think I've saw one podcast where you mentioned and you said something along this line, that you said like, we expected to be liked it and to be kind
Yes.
with everyone.
Yeah.
Because this is kind of like how, let's say like people expected from a female leader, that we cannot be as, not assertive because we are assertive, but with it's different with when a man is in a position of a CEO than us. But I love what you said, that you're here to run a business, to grow a business. You're not here to be liked it. And I think that's such a strong statement that you've made at that podcast, because there's a lot of expectation that come from us to be, a female leader. But the same as you, I don't think about that on the day-to-day. I'm just here to run a business and to grow a business, right?
100%. And look, hopefully people like you, and some people won't. Some people will be pissed off with the decisions that you make. And, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with microaggression. I'm okay with people thinking, that I've made the wrong. I'm okay with all of it. I know I'm not going to make the right decisions all the time.
All the time, yeah.
So it's just par for the course, I think.
No, 100%. And I think what you said about throughout the journey, we've learned so much, right? Because you said about 10 years, and I've been on this journey as well, pretty much the same time. And it's a everyday learning, right? Every day you learn something different, and you grow and you evolve as a woman, as a professional. What are like the key challenge when you see yourself on this position? You're like, because I don't know with you, but like when I meet new people, they see the business and they see where we are today. They think that happened overnight, but nothing has happened overnight. So there's a lot of vulnerability and challenge throughout the journey for us to actually build a business and to grow a business. Tell me a little bit more about your experience of growing within your journey.
I mean, I think it's like you say, there are challenges every day. And I think when people hear that, they don't really, it sounds like a nice sound bite, but I think people don't really recognize that that's actually the case. And those challenges can be huge challenges. Like at the moment, I found it economically very challenging, like the whole environment. I don't know for your industry,
yes,
but
100%.
I think, right, like it's very, very challenging. And what that means for us as founders is the constant need to be thinking about, economies, efficiencies, new strategies, reorging, redundancies. It's not a fun place to play in. It's really not fun. So, there are those big challenges, but there are also the small kind of day-to-day learnings that you come across, like, oh, I really shouldn't have said that to someone in that way because it didn't have the desired outcome. Or next time I know that I can place more confidence in a particular person, or whatever it could be. There's also like day-to-day micro learnings as well, which maybe you don't even register, but they kind of shape who you are and how you approach work also. So yeah.
I say that every day I'm a new person, because as you said, like there's learnings, small learnings every day. So the next day I'm never the person that I was today.
Yes.
100%. You're constantly like learning every single day. Like when you say about Huckletree, and I know you said about like Huckletree is a place where people can come and you have that purpose of co-creation and engaging the business that are part of the Huckletree. So what's the co-creation means for you and for the business?
I think it's maybe less about co-creation and more about let's be in a space where there are lots of other exciting businesses doing great things. And if we're there alongside them, then that helps us, it helps our employees, it helps our productivity, it helps our creativity, etc. So it's just the concept of like, you know, I guess co-creating is like we're each creating our own thing in the same space, and we're existing there kind of separately but together and for the benefit of everybody within. So, and I think that's really powerful.
100%. And how do you engage the business that are there to be that, you know, with that mindset of like co-creating and be together in this space and leverage from each other?
I mean, there's so many ways. It's really hard to kind of pinpoint like one way. We obviously do like tons of events and programming and personal introductions and whatever. But one thing that I have found recently that we kicked off that I've really enjoyed is we've started doing Huckletree founder circles. So obviously we've got like hundreds of businesses across our spaces. Each business has a founder, if not more than one founder. And so we've created these little circles of 10 to 15 founders, and we meet, you know, consistently in that same group. And we share obstacles together. You know, in each session, 2 people will present a case study, and the rest of the room will help them overcome the obstacle within that case study. So actually that's a great way of like, you know, getting to know each other, but also really benefiting from everybody else's experience. And although we've had such different experiences, there are so many similarities that we can contribute to each other's success. So that's one way. And I found that really, I mean, it's not about me. I hope they found it really interesting. But I think it's been a really good way of kind of extracting really strong value from our ecosystem.
No, and I love that, because like, I think it's so important that we can learn like from each other, because I think we don't know everything. We're far from know everything. And then I personally love when I can learn from other people's success, but also failures, right? So what's our, I don't like to say failures, because like maybe mistakes, the right word, but I think it's important to learn from each other. And then you do a lot of mentorship as well, or you with small
I have
business?
done, yeah. No, I definitely have done in the past. During the pandemic, I did it a lot.
Okay.
I had a lot more time on my hands. Now, you know, back at work, growing the business, I do some, but I'm also trying to focus that energy on the founders that are within the Huckletree.
Which I love that.
Yeah.
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 And then like you said about pandemic, that you mentioned pandemic, how challenge was from like after pandemic to actually engage people to actually come back to an office space? Like,
you're going to be very surprised at my answer. It was so easy. That period post the pandemic, I can't remember when we were let out of our homes and back to the office. It was like early summer
2022.
I mean, it's crazy. It was a 2-year anyway, that period from that point where everyone was let back to their offices to like 6-7 months later was the best period that I've ever had at Huckletree.
Wow.
We have a Slack channel that there's a notification every time we do a sale, and it was going off the whole time for like big deals, right? And we dropped during the pandemic, we dropped down to like around 60% occupancy, which is very low.
Yeah.
And we got up to like 95% in that period. So that was like the best market that I've ever been in.
Wow.
For this with Huckletree. So that was good. But it's also really interesting because during the pandemic, you know, everyone says to me, it must have been really challenging. Yeah, of course. I mean, it was challenging for all of us. I also work in office space, so it was like double challenging. But I actually think that right now is more challenging than during the pandemic.
And why?
Because I think during the pandemic, we knew what was happening. Like, we didn't know how long it was going to last for, and we didn't know, you know, we didn't know everything. But the minute I felt very early, like it was kind of very early 2020, and I was like, this is going to be big. And people around me were saying, no, it's not. It's fine. Like and I said, no, it's going to be big. Put everything online, and we have to make plans that we're not going to be able to access the workspace. But also very early on, I realized that it would at some point end. And when it ended, that actually that would be great for our industry, because businesses would be much less happy to go and take the long leases, because you never know what's going to happen. So that optimism kind of kept us going, although it was challenging. Today, I find that we're kind of in a market that has gradually since like maybe the end of 2022 been getting worse and worse and worse. Inflation, interest, everything. It's just like, businesses have been slowly cutting their budgets, and we're all impacted on a personal level also.
Yeah.
So in a funny way, because I didn't see this coming and I'm such an optimist, I feel like actually now is way more challenging than during the pandemic, because during the pandemic you make decisions, but you make big decisions quickly. And now it's been like a lot of very difficult decisions over quite a long period of time. And I don't know when it will change.
It will change, yeah, because it's out of our control.
So, yeah.
And then because you said like during the pandemic, you feel that that's going to be a big thing, and then you start creating plans and strategies. Do you use a lot of your intuition to run your business?
I think
the female intuition or sensitivity.
I think with these kind of big things, I do.
Okay.
Like I can't think of other examples, but with like big things like that, when you just feel like no, something's gonna happen, I do. Generally on the day-to-day, I mean, I probably would use it more, but I've got a team of people around me who like, rein me back in.
Yes.
No, we need the data. So probably less, which is, I would say, a good thing. But if I feel very strongly about something, then I will always step in.
Okay.
So, yeah.
You talk about data. Do you guys use a lot of data to use as a, as a fact, or as a way of tell you the right thing to do?
100%. We use data for everything. So twice a year we'll do like a members feedback survey. We'll get all of the data from them about how they're feeling. We quantify it, NPS. Then, before we take a new building, we're looking at all the market demand data for that area, what the competitors are doing in the area. Everything has, big decisions have to be data driven.
And when you started Global, there was not data
no.
as much as, because like,
no,
because for us as well, like when I started, like we're not data driven at all, because like there was not even a way of getting data, right? So there was not there's no platforms and tools that we have nowadays. And it's incredible how it evolved, right? Because like nowadays, I don't know you, but they were saying like, but we cannot do anything without having a data element behind of a decision, not just for our business, but for the business of our clients.
But the thing I find about data is that you can just kind of manipulate it depending on how you want it to be interpreted. So it is good to have data, but I think you really need to look at it as kind of with neutrality.
Yeah,
I found
100%.
myself, in the past manipulating data, not in a manipulative way, but to give me the answer that I'm looking for. So data is good, but it always has to be taken with...
it's a combination, I think.
Yeah, it can't be... Data is good if you're able to use it in the right way, I think.
No, 100%. It's because like we work with a lot of clients, right, to drive revenue or to drive awareness or downloads, and data became such an important thing for our business since the data became available to prove ROI, right? Because at the end of the day, we as a business, you have a huge responsibility on driving the return of investment of our clients. But I'm very much the same like you. I like to use data, but not taking 100% what the data is telling me to actually get my decision on what is the right, the right strategy to be. That is like how you use data in a way that you're not just gonna be, led by the data, but use that to complement on top of other things.
100%.
And do you use, like, when you say about data, do you guys have like how do you extract the data? You have tools, platforms?
Yeah, but I mean, our data is so different from yours.
Yeah,
like 100%. Your data is going to be much more vast than ours because you're speaking to like much wider audiences. For us, it's mostly what are our members saying? What's the feedback that they're giving us? Data about our own kind of performance, like KPIs and stuff like that, and then also like underwriting new areas, new buildings, new locations. But it's going to be a much smaller data set than yours. So
100%. And the hybrid element that we touch, because like I was like, especially the past 2 months, there's been a lot of discussion on social about hybrid, working from home or working from the office. There's a lot of discussions. and especially like on LinkedIn, like founders and then of the business, because what's your opinion about the hybrid ways of working?
So I think it doesn't work for every role. First of all, you do sometimes have people coming to you that work in kind of operational hospitality roles that they cannot work from home. It doesn't make sense. But I think for the roles that it works, it can work well. I see it as a nice complement to a primarily kind of office facing, position, in the sense that you should probably be in more than out. That's how I feel. Because I think that, somebody was saying earlier, or you were saying earlier, somebody else was saying earlier, when they're here, you move around, you get conversations
Quicker.
done, you meet people, you connect with them, things just happen faster.
Much faster,
Right?
It's because I think, like as you said, not every company is ready, because I think if you give the option for your employees to work from home, what are the tools that you're giving to your employees to be able to work from home? Because it's not everyone that has a great setup to work from home, right? So I think if companies that offer that, I think that's, at least for me. So what are the tools that you're giving for your staff to work from home in a way that they're gonna be as effective as if they are in the office?
But I just don't think that's possible. I think
exactly.
they can have, that's the thing. Like, they can have the best kind of tech that works perfectly. And it's funny because during the pandemic, you saw all sorts of like metaverse style,
Yes.
we're in the virtual office together. Like, give me a break. I'm sorry. It's just nonsense. Like, come into the office, be there. I want to meet you properly. Let's have a quick chat over a coffee. And there are people that don't want that, and that's fine. But, I don't know. Like, I think it's about what works for you as a business.
It's not the same formula for every business, for sure.
No. And look, my role isn't particularly, like, I'm not in my operation, like, community hospitality teams. Technically speaking, I don't think it would be the right choice, but I could be home every day. But I hate it. I don't like it at all. I don't find it, I find myself quite depressed after I've been working from home for a full day. I need to see people. I want to kind of meet all of our members. I want to have FaceTime with my team. I think that's so important.
Yes.
And I hate Zooms. I just switch off.
You don't use it at all?
I do. I have to.
You have to, yes.
And it's great for like external meetings where previously one of them would have needed to cross town to go meet the other, and we don't need to do that anymore. And actually, it's kind of like, why did we not do that before the pandemic? It's weird to think like just before the pandemic, you would still cross town to have like, it's so weird.
Yes.
But I think for internal, I just can't do any more Zooms. I find it really hard, really challenging to stay focused.
I'm very advocate as well of coming work in an office, because like for our business specifically, we can get much more done if we are together.
But I think there's a generational problem though, because I think that post-pandemic, a lot of the younger generation that, left university or left school or came straight into the workforce, maybe just before the pandemic or during the pandemic, they think that it's a given that they should be working from home. I know I'm going to offend a lot of people.
But it's true.
I just think that that's not reality.
100%. It's exactly that, especially with the younger generation. They wanted to have much more of that freedom and space of working from home. And there's a lot of justifications that they say why. But
the reality is that the opportunities for those people are not going to be getting smaller and smaller.
We are on the same page. And that's exactly what I say. It's okay. But the people that are here, it's not that I'm making distinct, like if you're here, you're going to have more opportunity. If you're not, you're not. So it's not black and white like that. But of course, if you're in the day-to-day here with everyone, engaging with other department or team, learning more from, even if you're not working in a project or, but just to listen to what's happening, it's give you opportunity 100%. For learning and growth. But if you're at home, working from home, it's not the same.
No, you're not visible. You're not visible in the same way. And actually, I think that it's our responsibility as the employer to have a really good policy, because otherwise what happens if you kind of leave it to everybody's free will to decide where they are, you tend to have the extroverts at work and the introverts at home.
So
right.
true.
And then it's not fair to the introverts because then they're not coming in and they're not having access to the same opportunities. So I think a good policy is really important. But actually, I meant that the opportunities for people who are looking for fully remote work positions on a kind of global level, not within a company, like those job opportunities are getting fewer and fewer because companies are more and more mandating that you have to be back at work. And I agree with that.
I agree with that 100%. I love what you said about the introvert and extrovert. I never thought about that, but it's so true. Like the introverts, they tend to be more of home and the extroverts are here. But then the ones that are actually growing faster as the ones that are the extroverts and are here. But it's not fair with the introverts, but it's how do you actually
make it
fair for everyone, right? So it's a very interesting point that now that you said, I'm reflecting here on the ones that work home. Like, yes, it's so true. And like I've read that your leadership team, the majority of it are women. Is that true?
So my leadership team has changed a lot over the past 12 months. A lot. I think 12 months ago we were like 8 people, 9 people, and we're now 4.
Okay.
And I think it's a sign of the times also. But now we're all women.
And do you do that on purpose?
No,
or
I didn't.
Is it? Or it's
I don't think I did.
Or is it natural that you were lucky to find an amazing, group of women that can be part of a leadership team?
Yeah, I don't think I did it on purpose. I'm just looking for like the best people for the roles, and this is where it is now. And I do think that things are always in flux and things always change. So it could change again. Like who knows? Do you know what I mean? Needs change the whole time, but it's nice. I say also it's nice and also all women has its own set of challenges. It's not necessarily a bad thing, and I do love my team, but you need to know how to work together well.
But do you advocate for women leadership? So it's something that you like to advocate, or?
Of course I do, but I don't give roles to women.
Sure, just because
they're a woman.
Okay.
I would, or to any underrepresented or minority person, but I would probably give them more of an opportunity. But at the end of the day, I think you can't. You're running a business. It needs to be on a merit basis. It needs 100%. To be on yeah.
But do you feel pressure, like just because it's like just saying from my own experience, right? Because I am a female founder and leader, and sometimes I feel the pressure. Not that I'm taking the pressure to change the way I think and then the way I wanted to run the business. But sometimes now and then I feel pressure, like just because I'm on that position, I should be advocating more and bringing more women to be part of my leadership team or my team, because it's my responsibility to actually give in more opportunities for women to be on the senior level. But I pretty much like you, I do have my women in my team, on my leadership team, but I have to, it's not just about the being female or male, it's just that the right person for the right role. But sometimes now and then I feel the pressure, like you have to advocate, but doesn't change the way I think. But I don't know if you...
But I think you can advocate for equality in so many ways.
100%.
But I don't think that the right way for advocating it is to have somebody who isn't performing well in their job retain that job, because I think you can support them 100%. For sure, but also the reality is, and especially, and it keeps coming back to the economy that we're in today, there's a reality in today's economy where businesses are very, very resource stripped.
100%.
So it's hard to balance, you need people in roles that can deliver that job.
I could not agree more. So the diversity for me is key, and that you said equality. So I think diversity, it's so important for me as a leader. So I want to make sure that this business has the equality, but the diversity of like giving opportunity to different genders and ethnicity. But at the end of the day, I'm looking for people that can deliver and the job.
Yeah, and It is a really challenging one to know where the line is, I think.
Yeah.
But I think we've focused a lot on diversity within our workforce at Huckletree. We've focused a lot on equitable hiring policies, and I think you're putting the kind of building blocks in place to attract diverse talent and then also to retain them. But I think if you do put those building blocks in place, there is a world of incredible talent out there that are diverse and are underrepresented in the workplace. And in a lot of instances, it's about finding them and attracting them. So, yeah.
What do you love the most about being an entrepreneur? And
Oh my God, what do I love the most? I don't know. I was just saying to my team earlier, because we're launching one of our new buildings. So when you see your product, a new product kind of come to life, or like you celebrate successes and milestones, like obviously that feels very good and reminds everybody why we're here. So that's nice. I like, generally, I think I'm someone that really tries to kind of optimize. If there's a problem, I try to fix it, sometimes too quickly.
Okay.
But I like that mindset of kind of problem solving and finding the best kind of route forward. So,
and what do you think is the key challenge of being that position?
I mean, I think it's
so many, but
there's so many. I think, being an entrepreneur is it. I was actually thinking earlier this week, like after having to make the 1,000th difficult decision of the week, it reminded me why running a business isn't for everyone.
It's not for everyone.
And I literally said it out loud. I was like, yes, this is why they say that running a business isn't for everyone. I don't know if it's for me, by the way. Like, I mean, I'm doing it, but I'm not saying that I'm doing it like,
the right way.
Or the best way. But it just reminded me why it's so challenging. It is really challenging.
Yeah. And then I always say the same. It's not for everyone. You have to have a lot of courage, a lot of, it's definitely not for everyone. And I think we realize that when we have to make difficult decisions, right? Then you go like, I cannot believe I'm going to have to make the decision, but I have to make the decision because at the end of the day, it's not about the heart. It's about the business. But I am a very people person, and for me, the challenge is like how to balance my heart with the rational of running a business on the day to day.
Yeah, it's hard.
It's
so
hard.
I'm the same as you, and especially when I've worked with people for a long time, if I need to, if we need to part ways, I find it very challenging. I find it much easier if they come to me and say, I've got a new role. Like, okay, fine, of course, that's easy. But if I have to make a decision, either because of underperformance or because of redundancy and restructuring, I find it really emotionally challenging.
It's very challenging.
To the point where my leadership team, my director of people has told me, just, Gabby, don't get involved. Just don't get involved anymore. Like, we'll do it. And when it's all sorted, like, you can engage and have a conversation or whatever, because it has been like I've cried in those situations. But actually, it's not the right thing to do.
No, it's not.
It's really not the right thing to do.
Exactly.
Like,
we are very much the same, because I go depressed.
Yeah.
For a few days, and then the same, Maira, just get away. We're gonna do it. When it's all done, you come in.
Yeah.
Because it's I'm not 100% rational in all my decisions. I think a lot with my heart.
Yeah.
And but as you said, it's not the right way. This is the end of the day, it's a business. But I think that sensibility that I said at the beginning, that I think we women, we do have that sensibility and intuition that perhaps not every man has. So it's so it's quite of a challenge.
I mean, well, some men have it worse though. Like my dad, for example, he's got people that have been with him for 40 years that like are still there, and he won't let them go ever. So, I think I don't know if it's man, woman, like a gender thing, or if it's just,
our sensibility.
Yeah.
And one thing that I remember now, because I think I read that you, at one point, through that journey with Huckletree, you have to look for investors yourself. And I've been through that a few times, and recently actually, because I bought my business back, because I sold my business in 2021.
Okay, wow.
And then I bought it back in August this year, because the company, unfortunately, the company that bought my company in 2021, they were not doing well financially, and they went to bankruptcy, Chapter 11, and I managed to buy back MG 4 days before they went through to Chapter 11. So it was quite of a journey of thinking, I sold my business. Now I'm here for 5 years because that was the deal. And then I'm going to grow this business, and then let's see what is next. And then out of the sudden, I got the business back, and then I'm independent today again. And then I read about the investor thing, and that experience, I don't know how it was for you, but it's just like the underestimation. That's the correct word to say? Underestimation of, I felt that. Don't know if it's the same, of like, we can actually go for it. We can go and find investors. We can actually present our business with confidence. And I don't know what was the journey for you within that, because for me it was like a lot of underestimation that you cannot do it. You need the man to do that
definitely.
for you.
And by the way, and I think that was right. Like, I think 10 years ago, we actually did need a man with us, because as a female founder, we would have found it really challenging to raise money without. So, and I did feel that, but it's been a journey of also feeling empowered about it and feeling like I can do this. So I had Andrew, my co-founder, was with me for many years, and we did all of the fundraising together. And I think I was quite happy to let him lead it and to take the back seat, and he was good at it. But actually, now that he is no longer operational with me in the business, if I needed to fundraise again, I know that I'd feel very confident to do it. But I also think that it really depends on the environment. And that's also what I've learned. Like, when we were fundraising and WeWork was at their peak, it was easy for us, too easy. The valuations were too high. Like, actually, it wasn't.
It's so different right now.
And it's so different right now. But I think the thing that isn't different is that I have much more confidence than I had 4 or 5 years ago. I'm a different person. So I feel like I would be totally fine to go and fundraise on my own from a confidence perspective.
That's just the same. It's just like the experiences of the journey. It not just make us learn more, but also give us the empowerment to like, I've been through so much, I can do another thing.
That's the thing. And also, as the years go by and there's like more and more years of like work and effort that you've put into the business, 100%. You're less and less likely to let it be anything but a success. I've been doing it for too long for it to not be successful. There's no way that do you know what I mean? So,
and then I could not agree more, because like, again, like it's funny that you're saying that, because as I said, like, the experience that I've been through the past 6 months, for me, it's like we're on the same page. I was like, I didn't come to that far to not buy this business back and be successful. No. I didn't work 10 years.
Yes.
And I had to like, you're a mom as well, like to juggle motherhood, being a wife, being a daughter, and have a business. And I'm like, no. Like, there was so many like abdications I had to do along this journey. That's not a possibility. We're gonna get it back, and we're gonna be successful.
It's sacrifice. That's the thing. It's a massive sacrifice. Like, sacrifice of time that you could have been spending with your children,
100%.
Or holidays that maybe you could have gone on, or nights that you could have slept properly, or it's been a decade of sacrifice 100%. In that regard. So
and then I think the sacrifices is something that a lot of people, they don't see it, right? Because like, you can only see what is in front of you, but like, the sacrifices, they are just so, even like you said about holidays, I can go for holidays, but I'm working on my holidays, so I'm not resting, because
I've taken one holiday where I've turned my phone off since I started Huckletree.
And then like, it's just like, sometimes I'll go like, when I want to.
And I think it's because I was in Burning Man, and I had there was no service that year.
There is no service, so you need to go every year then.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, so it's just like friends. But I think we're on the same page when it comes, like we work so hard, and then the outcome we wanted is to be successful, and then for me it's just like no one's gonna stop me, like whatever.
And I also feel a big responsibility to my investors. I feel a big responsibility to my investors, and I feel a big responsibility to my team members who have equity in the business and who have been with me for a long time and have also put a lot of hopes and thoughts into the outcome of the business. So
the responsibility it's huge.
But then the responsibility also drives me when I have to make hard decisions. So if I have to make a hard decision regarding like restructuring, but I know that that decision is in the best interest for the company, and what's in the best interest for the company is in the best interest for all the employees who remain in the company, then that enables me to make that hard decision.
It's good. Yeah, because the responsibility, you're so right. So it's the responsibility. I feel a lot of responsibility for the team.
Yeah.
Right. It's just like if they're choosing to be here, coming every day, working so hard, putting a lot of effort. So I feel like, wow, it needs to be successful because there's a lot of people that are believing that vision, that they wanted to be here. They're working hard to actually us to be successful, because I don't believe that one can win alone. So you need to have a team that believe in the vision, they believe in what you're doing to actually want to conquer that success with you. And I think the responsibility element, it's just so on point, because that's definitely a drive that I have every day. So it's not just for me, it's for the team and for the clients. So of course, in our case, it's the investors, in my case, it's the clients. If they're trusting on us to work on their behalf, so how can you not feel responsible? I think we're gonna, it says yes. They're telling me, Maira. Gabi, one piece of advice for, small business or people that are thinking about starting a business. What would be your, I know, because if you ask me that question, I'll not be able to say one thing.
Yeah.
But if there's one piece of advice, what that would be?
Make sure you've got a proper viable business, because I see a lot of entrepreneurs these days, not so much now, but maybe a year or two ago when it was much easier to raise money. You see a lot of businesses that they're not really viable businesses, and they figure it out way into the game. So I think, the first thing is make sure that there's a real business and a real need, and like a large need for it there. And the second thing, it's obvious, but it's true, is it's got to be something that you're passionate about. Because it's, as we've been saying, the journey is really long. There's a lot of highs, there's a lot of lows, and I would have left a long time ago if I didn't love what we do at Huckletree. So.
Very good piece of advice. And the journey, I think, is the most beautiful thing of being an entrepreneur, when you understand that you're on that journey of highs and lows, because there's a purpose behind that the journey, it's part of the process, that you have to go through the lows and the highs in order to get the success. I think for me it's so key for people that they're thinking about being entrepreneur, is to have a viable business, as you said, but just understand that the journey will be long, but the journey is the most beautiful part of the process.
Yes, so true. 100%.
Right? Yeah. Gabi, thank you so much for taking the time to be here. It's so good to meet you. And thank you for taking the time and for this amazing
pleasure. Thank you. It was lovely. Yes. Thanks so much.
And thank you very much to everyone that have joined us today. Hope you have enjoyed our conversation. Thank you so much for tuning in. And if you're not following us yet, make sure you do on Spotify, YouTube, Apple, and Amazon. And I will see you all on our next episode. Thank you so much.